As of last week,
Thank you.
we will attempt, even though it's quite a massive task, we'll attempt to give a general picture of the whole amazing drama. Parshaseinu, Parshas Lech-Lecha, Misaperes al Tkufosei shel Avram Avinu. It tells us the story of the era of Avram Avinu. HaYehudi HaRishon. Avram Avinu has the amazing status of having been the first Yehudi, the first year. Al HaTzivui HaRishon Shu Itztaveh MeHaKadosh Baruch Hu. Also tells us the first commandment that Hashem commanded Avram Avinu, which is Lech-Lecha El Ha'oreh. You must go out from where you are, and you must go to the land. And that means Eretz Yisrael. And it tells us on Siyosei B'Poyil, Eretz Yisrael, how Avram Avinu in effect obeyed that request and that commandment of Hashem, and he immediately set out to travel to Eretz Yisrael. Al Havtoches HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lo Tzeis LeAvraham Es Ha'oreh, tells us further the parsha about the promise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Avram Avinu to give him and for all of his descendants Eretz Yisrael. And the numerous Pesukim which were said to Avram Avinu after he reached Eretz Yisrael, before the Bris Milah. But when it comes to the Bris Milah, at the end of the parsha, then there's a very clear promise of Eretz Yisrael, and there's made a very real connection between the Bris Milah and Eretz Yisrael. The promise of Eretz Yisrael is connected in the parsha very essentially with the concept of the Milah. And therefore he finishes the Rabbi by summing up and saying, Krisus, Abrias, the cutting or the establishing of the covenant, Al-Kach, on the giving of Eretz Yisrael to the Yidden, the Bris Ben Abasorim. The Bris Ben Abasorim is not the Bris Milah, nor the Bris Ben Abasorim is the promises to Avram Avinu when he get to Eretz Yisrael and all his descendants at the covenant of the splitting of the animals, the three, what were they, what do you call a young cow, a calf, isn't it? A calf, yeah. The three calves into halves, and the passing between them, well, that was indicatory, as Rashi explains, of the concept of a covenant between two parties. So that's called the Bris Bein HaBasorim. That's a very central meeting, kaviyah, between Hashem and Avram Avinu, and it contains most of the promises made to Avram Avinu, including the hint that there will be the Golus in Mitzrayim, that there will be the Geula, and it hints at all the main historical, what one might call milestones of the Jewish people leading to the Geula Shlema. But it also is an essential part of the promise to Avram Avinu of Eretz Yisrael. And then he says, parsha, at the completion of the parsha, Masupa al mitzvahs Bris Milah. Then we have the mitzvah of the Milah, which was given to Avram Avinu, Shanasto l'Rishena al-Yidei Avram Avinu. What that was made for the first time in human history through Avram Avinu himself, Ubekach Nikrasa Bris Nitzchia. And through that there became a, how do you call it, what's the word?
Eternal.
Huh?
Eternal?
Eternal, very, sorry, occasionally my English words drop out of my head. Nikrasa, an eternal covenant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Jewish people, and it expresses itself through the brisi b'bsarchem lebris olam, my covenant in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And that was given to Avraham Avinu, and Yachad Im Zeh, a further promise linking Eretz Yisrael with the concept of the Brit. Mekivan she'elohim hadvorim harishonim hamesuporim b'Torah al Avraham Avinu. Since these are the first things that were actually told about Avraham Avinu in the Torah, shemimenu higia kol am Yisrael kuloi. But he's the person, what from him the whole Jewish people developed. Movenim kain, shekol zeh mevate es hatochen hakloli. All this expresses to us very general messages, shekol haTorah v'hayadas, all of Torah and Yiddishkeit in general, Piklau. And therefore the Rebbe, the first sentence of the Sikha is as the Rebbe says, that Pasha Lech-Lecha is a Pasha Claudius Atzmius in the Torah. And he said the same thing about Pasha Noach. And he said the same thing about Pasha Graces, which means that each one of them is a special cloud all the time. And the special cloud here is the activities of Avraham Avinu, and he's moving and he's traveling in Eretz Yisrael, leading to the different stages of the promise of an everlasting covenant with him personally, with all of his seed to come in the world, and through the Bris Milah, a further strengthening of the promise already made for an everlasting giving of Eretz Yisrael to the Jewish people. So we see then three intermoving svaras or inyanim the whole time. We see the actual activities of Avraham Avinu, and then we see he's actually reaching Eretz Yisrael, and he's moving around, and what that represented, Beneged to Eretz Yisrael, and together with that a promise of the whole of Eretz Yisrael being given to his seed and to his generations, and then all of that is completed with the actual Bris Milah itself. So we have to understand and it's very important to notice that the Rabbi is going to mention it later on, that it's only in this Seder, and after Avraham Avinu actually moved from Ur Kasdim, where he is, in the direction, well, he's a bit further than Ur Kasdim, he's already in Haran. He's moving from there into Eretz Yisrael. Up till then, there have been numerous remarkable things in Avraham Avinu's life, and numerous achievements in his service of Hashem, and he's spreading the knowledge of the service of Hashem, and yet that's virtually not mentioned in the Torah. The way we know about all those things are through Medrashi Chazal and through things told in the Gemara. But we're not told in the actual words of the Torah almost any of that. The whole fact that from the moment he was born, his life was threatened by Nimrod, and then all the Mesiras Nefesh he had after he understood the Eibishter, which happened when he was 3 years old, as brought down in the Gemara, and then he was imprisoned again, and then they threw him into the Kibshan Ha'ez, and he came out okay. All of this amazing episodes in the life are not mentioned in the Torah. We wouldn't really know, if not for our sages, we wouldn't know this whole history. But where do we actually get told details of Avraham Avinu's life? In this week's parsha. And so we're going to see that that's connected with something very essential, which we're going to learn pretty close to now, and that is this whole concept of somewhere in the middle fits the whole concept of Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. And remember, once the giving of the Torah is started to move, then we can tell about Avraham Avinu, and then we can tell all of his details. The Koloid, that the Matan Torah didn't begin to, as it were, move then we don't really have what to tell about Avraham Avinu, even though what he did was of amazing significance. But there's something essentially central to the whole purpose of the creation in Matan Torah. They might say, well, Matan Torah is a long way from Avraham Avinu. So that's what he starts telling us now. He said, Hechel me Avraham Avinu, beginning from Avraham Avinu, Hechel et Kufa shel Hachona LaMatan Torah. There began a period or an era of preparation for Matan Torah. He said, Tkufa zu yitchila b'miyuchad meyaz sh'HaKadosh Baruch Hu tzivu esoi Lech-Lecha me'aretz. He said, this era began especially from the moment that Hashem commanded Avraham Avinu, Lech-Lecha, go out from your land. He said, zu higam asiba l'kach sh'aTorah mita'eres be'ike et pu'ulosav shel Avraham rach li'achat tzivui Lech-Lecha. Since Lech-Lecha is the beginning of Matan Torah, it's a preparation directly for Matan Torah, then we can start telling more detail about Avraham Avinu. Prior to any preparation of Matan Torah, we don't have what to tell in detail. That's it, and I'll soon make that clear what is all that about. He said, "Rat li'achar Avraham Avinu hayakra ben 75 shana." He was already 75 years old. Then we start telling about in detail in the Torah itself. Prior to that, since it wasn't connected with Matan Torah, we don't have to tell. Now they don't bring here in this thing, but since we are all dwellers of the Holy City of Tzfas, then it's important we should know where did this come from. And this is a quote from the Arizal. And the Arizal lived in Tzfas. And it's written, there's a sefer from the Rabbi Chaim Vital, which he calls Likutei Torah. It's the same name. It's therefore in Chassidus Chabad, you've got to be careful to write which Likutei Torah. So therefore they always write Likutei Torah mi ha'arizal. Or Stam Likutei Torah means Likutei Torah from the Alter. So what does the Arizal say over there? I looked it up in the Likutei, well, actually I looked it up a few years ago, but I took another glance at it. What does it say over there? What did the Arizal say? The Arizal said that Matan Torah is such an essential union in the whole creation. What is so special about Matan Torah? He said that Matan Torah unites the Alyonim and the Tachtonim. I was brought down in the Medrash that always they were like separate entities. The higher worlds and the lower worlds, they didn't come together. And the day Matan Torah was possible, they had to join and make the higher worlds unite with our world and make the person who wants in the lower world to elevate himself to Elokus in a much different way than was ever possible before. So therefore, the Arizal says that in order to achieve that, you have to have what's called a very big yichud, elyon, b'mayla. That the spheres have all got to interact in a very special way, that they unite together in such a way that they bring down an incomparably higher, what we call hamshocha, and through bringing down an incomparably higher hamshocha, that's going to make it possible to bring about Matan Torah. And because even though there are a lot of great people before Avraham Avinu, but they lived in generations and in times, and their type of avodah, even though they were very great people, wasn't like Avraham Avinu. It wasn't like Avraham Avinu. And once Avraham Avinu received from Hashem this amazing tzivui that he must go out and he must leave behind, even though he already left Ur Kasdim, he was already in Haran. Like Rashi said in the last week's parsha, Hashem says to him, you got to go out and you don't even know where you're going. But you just got to go. You have to leave everything behind and go out. And when Avraham Avinu obeyed that, and he started doing that, he caused L'mayla the beginning of this yichud, which was necessary for Matan Torah. That's what the Arizal said.
Foundation.
That's what the Arizal said. I mean, that's pretty hot stuff. And the Arizal says it Mefuri. He writes that if Avraham Avinu hadn't obeyed the Shem Chaspas Orim, and he hadn't have gone with the ganze Brenn and the ganze Tegev immediately, Hashem said to him, who knows if there would have been Matan Torah. Now, Avraham Avinu by doing it, so what's the pitch line? What's the secret? Think over for a second. What's the pitch line?
Kabbalah's all. Kabbalah's all.
Oh, but what's the pitch line of Kabbalah Soul?
Bittul.
Mesiris
Nefesh.
Bittul.
Yeah, I got it. Thank
Oh,
you.
Bittul. Very nice. Gam Bittul. Say Gam Nachon. Say Gam Emes. It's more summed up in the term Mesiris Nefesh. What is Mesiris Nefesh? You overlook your own will. You don't have any will of your own anymore.
And Mesiris Ratzon. Mesiris Ratzon.
Yeah, that's why I said will.
It's Mesiris Nefesh is one thing.
Yeah.
Mesiris Ratzon is higher.
No. Four times Mesiris Nefesh and Mesiris Ratzon are the same thing.
Yeah?
Yeah. For what? Because the word Nefesh and the word Ratzon are the same basic concept. We find several psukim in Nevi'im where the word Nefesh means will, Ratzon. And it's even written in the passage, Chai Sorah. Avraham Avinu said to the Hittite, he said, Im yeshes nafshachem, lekveres me'isila fanam. If you ever want, if you are ready and you want to do what I said. So we see that the word Nefesh means will. So Mesiris Nefesh means to give up your will. You don't have your will anymore, your will is Hashem's will. Avraham Avinu revealed that. And he said, I'm sitting here and I've already been around and I've been in a Kibshin Ha'esh and I've been in this and I've been that, and yet nonetheless, I've got to move out of here and completely leave everything behind in a way that I don't even know where I'm going. I don't know what's waiting for me. What does Hashem really have in mind for me? Well, having been able to do that, that's the beginning of the Yichud Elyon, which led to Matan Torah. And therefore, Avraham Avinu is the center of everybody. That the Rambam writes about Avraham Avinu in this great work in the Hills of Avodah Zarah and other places where he tells how Avraham Avinu fought the Holina of Avodah Zarah and beat it and everything. He calls Avraham Avinu the most amazing names. And one of the names the Rambam calls the Avraham Avinu is Ha'eitan Hazeh. Ha'eitan Hazeh. He calls Avraham Eitan. So what does the word Eitan mean? Eitan means strong, it means way back, yeah, and it means permanent. Once it does something, that's what it holds like. What's the word in English? That you hold by what you hold the whole way. I've forgotten the expression.
Principle.
Yeah, I know, more than that. Anyway, that's part of the way, yeah. That's the Indian of Eitan. And that Indian of Eitan in Avraham Avinu, that's what made him Avraham Avinu. And that's what made him begin the whole Yichud Elyon, which led to Matan Torah.
Zeh Hadash.
Huh?
Hadash.
Dash?
Hadash, new. This is new.
A
beginning.
I didn't quite get the word.
Hadash, new. Chadash.
Anyway, the thing is that Avraham Avinu, he started off the whole Inyan, what led to Matan Torah, and therefore, says the Rabbi, that's the reason why what he did before we don't really need to know. Because Avraham Avinu did all that in the world which wasn't yet ready for Matan Torah. And since it wasn't yet ready for Matan Torah, even though it was great things, that's not our interest. But by moving out the way he did into the nowhere at the Tzivya Kodesh Baruch, and finally coming to the Milah, he united the GAFNE of the world with Elikus Mami, he brought them together in a full yichud of Amir. The beginning of that, that's already where we start telling about him. For what? Because that's really the whole inner of Matan Torah. And Avraham Avinu began that. That's what he is all about. So says the Rabbi Bora, it's clear to us shekol davar Torah mahave hoiruah. It's well known that everything that we learn in Torah is an instruction. It's not just a fact or a story. It's a hoiruah. How do you call it? An instruction. I can't think of these English words.
Lesson.
Eh?
Lesson.
A lesson.
No.
It means something lapuya. How do you call it? A thing you've got to do lapuya.
Exactly.
Yeah. The whole Am Yisrael b'chol hazman. It's well known that the Torah is nitzchiyas. Therefore, its hoiruahs are for all times and for all places. What is it important for us? Matan Torah. We're already a long time after Matan Torah. Lech-Lecha, Matan Torah. I mean, we're a long time after Matan Torah. What Avraham Avinu did was a preparation for Matan Torah. What can that teach us? That we're already old timers. We're already a long time after Matan Torah. Avraham Avinu was still the new timer. He was moving towards all this. It's all news by us. We're already long after all that. What do we need to know? What Avraham Avinu did to prepare for Matan Torah? That's the Rabbi's question. So therefore he says, ma shehoya hoya. That's a lesson in the Gemara. My dahava. Whatever's been has been. It's a nice story. Although the Torah doesn't tell a story. They were still in Golos, it's also Rahman in Islam. What does that teach us? He said, the question becomes even stronger. In face of the fact that every year the Shabbos Pasha Lech-Lecha yesh lichiyos meichodosh im hachona lamatan Torah. You have to go on the Alter Rebbe's famous also we have to live with the times, which means that we have to live with the message of the Pasha Shavua. So every year when it becomes Pasha Lech-Lecha and they read Lech-Lecha in the Beis Knesset, then the whole thing becomes once again all over, and we have to live with that. We have to live. And we're only required by Torah to live with something which is a hoirah, an instruction. So therefore says, what's the instruction? That we're already after this whole thing. Yeah? And here it seems to be talking only about the preparation. So he says, Kiven she'oz misoira michodor. Yeah, once they read it in the Torah, in the Beis Knesset, then it becomes aroused mechadash tzivui zeh ka'achona lamatan Torah v'adover tamua. מה זה נוגע לנו בהימצאנו פעל אחרי הציון והשלמה של Matan Torah? You might say, well, Matan Torah wasn't perfect yet. I mean, Matan Torah happened, and it happened with all its perfection. Like the Alter Rebbe tells in Perek Lamed Vav, the most amazing things happened in Matan Torah, and they've all happened. So what do we need to know all this for? We're a long time after. What do we need to know? That Avraham Avinu prepared for Matan Torah. What does that teach us? Hashayla mishchazechet od yoter. The Shayla becomes even more emphasized. And the kiven shebechol yoyim mishchadeshes nasinus haTorah. Every day there's Matan Torah. V'haraya she'anu havochim bechol yoyim noisein haTorah. Noisein haTorah is Lashon Hover. What do you call Lashon Hover? Present tense. Yeah, it's actually what we call present continuous tense. Yeah, noise and haTorah, it's going on the whole time. From that is mashma that every day it's a new Torah. And like Rashi brings down in many places, that every day you have to see Divrei Torah like new. It's got to be something new, because every day it's like a new Matan Torah. If that's the case, then the Rebbe, or Mekivan Shemailim B'Koidet, we have another klal in the Gemara, both down in Masechet Brachos and then in Oid Mekonos, in Shabbos and Oid Mekonos, that Mailim B'Kodesh, anything to do with sanctity or holiness must always be going upwards. So whatever happened one year, and then we go a year further and we say we relive that, we have to relive it in a higher way than we did last time. Everything in Kedusha must always be going upward. So the Rabbi said, that not only we're living with that again, but we're living with that in a way that we're going upwards the whole time. In the giving of the Torah. If you take Shiur, that's with Chag Matan Torah, then everybody's tremendously excited about Matan Torah. Why? Because that's in effect being relived at that particular time. Uber Shabbos is Behem Koyanim, as the Dibra, Pasha Yisrael, for example, when we read the 10 Commandments, Sha'oz Yeshna Aliyah Yesha Gedolah. That's an even greater Aliyah in the ever ongoing occurrence of Matan Torah. Umikak Boro, from that we can learn clearly, Umikak Boro Yesha'onu, that we are Kwan Nimtoim Badaga El Yoina Beyosa Meaz Matan Torah. We ourselves, even though we're after Matan Torah, but we're living with Matan Torah the whole time, and we're going upwards the whole time. So we're in a much incomparably higher matzah than it was at the time of Matan Torah. What do we need to learn about Avraham Avinu? That he started the whole ball rolling, but we've lived through the whole result of that ball, and we're going higher and higher in that the whole time. So we're getting away from what Avraham Avinu did. So you can already start picturing in your mind what is the answer. But anyway, that's what the Rabbi has. And then he says, Afilu Ela, Shelo Yayu Muchanim Kol Kach LaMatan Torah B'Zmanei. It's hard to say that the whole 600,000 Yidden had all prepared themselves perfectly for Matan Torah. Maybe there were some of them that weren't yet, mamish on the level of really, wanting to be Mekabel Torah at that moment. For Eloi Zakukim L'Hachona LaMatan Torah. They don't need, if there are any such people, they don't need any more preparation. Matan Torah achieved, and it had an effect. Al Kol Olam Kulei. That's brought down in Droshes Razal that the actual time of Matan Torah, that a bird didn't even dare fly across the air at that particular time, and that all the animals kept quiet. They didn't make any noise, they didn't move around. But the whole world was affected by Matan Torah. I mean, that's clear that a bird or an animal is much lower even than a man who's not yet ready. And so if they were all affected by Matan Torah, he for sure was. And he's had enough time since then, and his descendants who've come after him, to get up on the ball, and they're also, like the whole Klal Yisrael, they are affected. And they're well after Matan Torah. As he came, what do we need to learn about the preparation for Matan Torah? So he says, Lech-Lecha. What is the answer? Davke. And this is what we say in the Lashon of the Gemara. He understands that the kasha is in effect the teretz. That you have a kasha, but in your kasha is the teretz that's to be found. So what are we saying? That every day is Matan Torah, and every day we go higher in Matan Torah. What do I need to know about the first Achona? So what is the answer? It's pretty clear. If every day we have a new Matan Torah, then we've got to have a new Achona every day to receive the Torah. So Avraham Avinu, he teaches us what was the Achona. And the Achona is Lech-Lecha. What does Lech-Lecha mean? That we have to find out a bit later. The fact that Avraham Avinu made a preparation, that helps us in our new reception of the Torah every day. So the Rabbi said the kasha, in effect, is the Torah. So therefore he said, Lech-Lecha, Davke, Mibnei Shebechol Yom Ubechol Shana, Hoilim Mi'ashlav, HaKoidim, Sheba Torah, we're going out from the previous stage of Matan Torah, L'Shlav Mali V'Chadosh, to a much higher and newer level in Matan Torah, Yeser Me'ashlav HaKoidim, much more than the state where we were before.